welcome back to my channel. It is Monica. So today I'm going to do a very different video. This week apparently is all different video things. Like I put up a natural deodorant thing, obviously not makeup related, because I really am trying to get into different lifestyle stuff and just in general different stuff. I was like kind of going back and forth in my head if I was going to record this video because it's a topic that not many people want to discuss, especially when it's something that they have like dealt with personally, because it's hard and you might get a lot of backlash from people or you might get praised or what, I don't know. It's one of those controversial topics. So like the title says, today I'm going to be talking about eating disorders. And I'm not just going to be like talking about the typical ones that you hear about, like anorexia nervosa or bulimia nervosa, because those are obviously the most recognizable ones by name. I'm actually going to be talking to you guys a lot about an eating disorder that isn't really talked about a lot. And it's one that I feel like a lot of people deal with, especially women, of course. And it is the fear of gaining weight or getting fat. The name for it is obesophobia or procrastinophobia. And it's literally just like where you're afraid of gaining weight, even if you are already small and, you know, skinny, if you don't weigh that much. It's basically just like you're afraid of getting fat or gaining any weight at all. So the reason I wanted to talk to you about this is because actually this is an eating disorder that I have battled with. And I'm not like gonna sit here and say that I'm like, you know, I'm a know-it-all about it. I'm just gonna kind of explain to you my personal struggle with it. I finally realized that I had this issue and, you know, what I'm doing to stop it. Like basically what I'm doing to fight it as, you know, time goes on and stuff, because of course we are surrounded by toxic thoughts, and it certainly doesn't help that being a size 4 or a size 6 is like considered fat, which I think is ridiculous. I guess I'll just hop right into it. I have dealt with body image issues, I guess is what we're gonna call them, pretty much like every other girl, like since I was a teenager at some point, but like it didn't really like run my life or anything like that. And it really just started consuming me more as I got older. So like I would say that it really hit when I was about 21, a little bit after that. And obesophobia is not where you starve yourself, or it's not like anorexia or bulimia, and we'll talk more about that. It's more of like where you just like limit what you eat, and you like it, you know, you're afraid of gaining any weight at all, even if it's just like from drinking water or eating a meal, and you're naturally going to gain a little weight. You're not actually gaining real weight, like you'll lose it throughout the day or whatever, and you gain, I looked it up, and apparently as a female you gain 3 to 5 pounds throughout the day, and as a male you gain like 5 to 6 pounds throughout the day. Just then you lose it, and that's from drinking water. It really is all dependent on how much water you drink, you know, like what you eat and all that kind of stuff. So nervous, I'm trying to breathe. So yeah, I would, like, it wasn't like I wasn't eating, I just was limiting what I would eat. It is a weird eating disorder actually, because you're not necessarily starving yourself like to the anorexia level, but you are more limiting your food intake. So like, for example, I would eat something and then not eat anything else for the rest of the day. Or I wouldn't eat anything in the morning if I knew that we were going to dinner and like wouldn't feel good, obviously, because I hadn't eaten anything. And then I would eat dinner and it would just be weird, and your body doesn't get used to it. And it even got to the point, especially right after the wedding got postponed, because I was afraid, you know, like my dress is tailored to my body. I was afraid I was gonna gain a bunch of weight before I got married in it because of this whole crazy thing. And of course, being indoors doesn't help because you're stuck alone with your thoughts and you start convincing yourself like of other things. So I would get so nervous to gain any weight at all that I would like just stop drinking water too. And that's terrible. Don't do that. Don't starve yourself either. Like, don't limit your food intake or anything like that. But especially don't stop drinking water, because of course your body needs it, and it's just important to your overall kidney function, your skin health, your daily life. Like, it's just important. So I finally noticed that I was doing this, and I noticed it, and I actually texted one of my friends and was like, yeah, I'm like going crazy, like this quarantine is really getting to me, because being in lockdown did accelerate and emphasize the symptoms that I was having, you know, just crazily thinking that I was gonna gain a bunch of weight. And it's not necessarily that I think I'm fat, it's just that I'm afraid of gaining weight and that I won't be able to fit in my dress, or, you know, I feel like my metabolism might slow down. So I'm just like going crazy, and you know, so I invested in 2 water bottles. One is a motivational water bottle with like the timeline of like when you should be drinking water throughout the day, and then another one is a 40-ounce one that I mentioned in a vlog that'll be going up after this video, by Iron Flask, and it's a huge one, and I just make sure I'm drinking it throughout the day. It's actually in the fridge right now, I wish I had it. I'm just making sure I get through it throughout the day. And it just, first of all, drinking enough water helps you feel so much better, but so does eating. You don't need to limit water intake, especially. You don't need to limit food intake or anything like that. So yeah, it was really bad, and I didn't know that there was an actual name for this kind of eating disorder, so I like kind of have been calling it the gray area of eating disorders, because it's not really something that people really talk about. They don't talk about the fear of gaining weight. Like, I mean, it comes up in conversation, but nobody really talks about it by its name because it's not as prominent as anorexia or bulimia. Basically, I just had this crazy fear. I let it basically consume me and take over my life, and I finally sat down with Thomas and was like, I'm having this issue where like I'm getting obsessive and I need to stop it. And I would obsessively weigh myself. I moved the scale. There's like a bunch of different articles like how to break up with your scale and all that kind of stuff. And I was actually reading a post by Sarah Tripp, who is a blogger. She's known by her Instagram handle and stuff like that, Sassy Red Lipstick. I read it, and it was like how to break up with your scale. And now because of social media, we all think that we're like fat, or we don't look as good as somebody else, and so we're just like, oh, I don't look as good at that angle with that bathing suit on, or with that shirt on, or whatever. I think it's really hard on us as women because we convince ourselves that we're not as beautiful as somebody else. And you also have to think, A, nobody looks like that all the time. Because angles are everything, lighting is everything, filters are everything. Yeah, somebody can look incredible, but you know, nobody actually stands in those kind of positions all the time, like where they're posing or anything. Like people go on their daily lives and walk around like normal people and stuff like that. And so I just came to terms with, you know, I stopped like really getting on Instagram except to like post things for my channel or whatever. And then I have like a separate private Instagram where I post like pictures of Thomas and myself, but I don't really scroll through as much because, you know, you get caught up into it and you're like, oh, I'm just not as pretty as her, I'm not as skinny as her, I'm not as fit as her, whatever. And it was just getting ridiculous because I'm not fat. I don't think I have a terrible body or anything like that. I wear a size 1 to 2, maybe a 3 sometimes because I have a tushy. And even so, I think that it's just important for us as women to ground ourselves and make sure that we understand that we're all trying to reach the standard of beauty that nobody is ever going to reach because we're all in competition with ourselves and with each other. And I just want us to realize that, you know, A, you're not going to gain weight overnight. If you really are worried about it, you know, make a workout routine or in general a routine that makes you feel good. For example, to combat the obesophobia, I have started working out daily. And I do some sort of workout. I either go for a jog, and plus that's a nice way to clear my head and get out of the house, or I watch a YouTube workout video, whatever, anything to kind of, you know, keep me occupied and where I'm not like just sitting alone with my thoughts. So I make sure I get up in the morning and I drink my water and I eat a small breakfast, and then I make sure I eat like a lunch or a dinner. It kind of depends because I don't have a huge stomach capacity, so I usually just like to eat like smaller portions throughout the day instead of eating like 3 big meals. So sometimes I just like snack up until dinner if Thomas and I are going out, or if we're just wanting to eat together at home. But I do make sure that I'm putting energy in my body and not just trying to get through the day sluggishly without any sort of food on my stomach or water on my stomach. I really wanted to put this out there because as much as I didn't want to admit that I had a problem with like my body image and not fully starving myself, but limiting myself. I just wanted to get it out there because I know that there are other women who deal with it. Like, for example, I was reading Carrie Underwood's book, Find Your Path, and she was talking about after American Idol, all these people were like saying that she was fat, so she started like starving herself, and it wasn't like she was like not eating at all, but she was like eating only 800 calories a day, which is nothing. Definitely went under the limit. And she didn't even mean to. Those like toxic thoughts can get into your head and you start to believe them and you start to convince yourself of them. And then I watched the Taylor Swift documentary, Miss Americana, and she was talking about when she was on the 1989 tour, she was real, like she was real thin, she was muscular, she was very toned, but she wasn't eating. And she was meant to be a size 6 and not a size 00, which makes sense because she's like, what, 5'10", 5'11". So, I mean, I am 5'2", and so yeah, gaining a lot of weight would mess with my body type, but I'm also 23, so I'm just adjusting to my metabolism, and it's not slowing down a ton right now because I am still at such a young age. If this is something that hinders you and you start to believe, I suggest realizing that you have an issue. I know that's hard because we don't really want to realize that we have a problem or that we are starving ourselves or limiting our food intake or even our water intake, which is horrible. But make sure you're eating enough. Give yourself a routine, like a workout routine. Tell those around you. Telling my friend Melissa and Thomas that I realized I had this problem was actually very relieving. It helped me because I was like, I'm admitting it, and now these people can hold me accountable for eating enough, making sure I'm drinking enough water. So now Thomas is helping me. He's like, are you eating enough? Like, are you sure you're good? Do you need some water? He's very attentive. And I moved the scale. I moved it to the other bathroom. It was in the master bathroom, which is where I get ready and all that stuff typically. I moved it to the guest bathroom because Thomas is in there, whatever, and he can use it if he wants to. Men are wired a little bit differently. They aren't as bothered by this kind of stuff as women are most of the time. If you do want to weigh yourself, I read that weighing yourself once a week is actually more accurate anyway than weighing yourself like after every meal, like I was doing. And also just keep in mind that, if you do weigh yourself after a meal because it's driving you crazy or something, I don't know, remember that food, weighs a certain amount. That's like artificial weight gain. It's not actual weight gain. Like, you're not just gaining 5 pounds a day because you would literally blow up like a balloon. Make sure you're keeping yourself accountable. Make sure that you're doing healthy things for your body. Drink enough water, and I mean actual water, because I know, and I am guilty of it too, we all like to cut corners where we are putting Propel in our water, and I love Propel and I like to drink it sometimes, or we're putting like Crystal Light packages. I haven't used Crystal Light in a really long time, but that kind of like thing. And then we're like, oh, well, it is water originally, so I am technically getting water. I mean, ish, but really Propel is for people who heavily work out anyway, because it's got all those electrolytes. It's kind of like Gatorade, but if you're not actually working out a ton, it's not super great for you. And so I kind of just reserve Propel for when I want to like do something nice for myself. Same with Gatorade, same with sweet tea, but really just try to drink straight up water. And I know that there's a lot of like companies out there who are trying to make you believe that their stuff is gonna help you drink more water. Just drink straight water. And like I do now, what I do is I make sure I get my water intake for the day, and then I let myself drink other things, because then I know I did something nice for my body, and I'll let myself drink some tea, or sometimes I'll double fist and have coffee and water. So yeah, I really just wanted to share that with you guys, and I wanted you to understand that there is another level of eating disorders that isn't just your typical ones that you hear about all the time. And it's really important that you catch yourself in it before it gets too bad to where maybe you do transition into anorexia or bulimia. And you don't want to do that. You're putting your body through so much as it is. And especially if you already have the Obesophobia, where you're afraid of gaining weight, so you're limiting your body, or you're not even drinking enough water, you're not drinking any water at all, and you don't want it to translate to where you're not eating anything, or you're binge eating and then making yourself throw it up so you don't gain any weight and end up losing weight. I want to share that with you guys, and I'm letting you guys keep me accountable. So I'm gonna work out every day, I'm gonna drink enough water, and maybe we can all create some sort of community where we all keep each other accountable on that. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful to you guys and wasn't too much information. I hope that I helped you if you needed it, if you have similar eating disorder, and you know, just know that you're not alone and we all are too hard on ourselves. So let's work on not being too hard on ourselves, eating enough, drinking enough water, and being happy. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that notification bell down below, and subscribe if you aren't already. I've got lots of fun lifestyle and makeup videos coming soon. I got some full faces coming up. I got some orders in, so I'm super excited. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!